The Side Hustler's Perspective podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, we break down the art of healthy hustling, getting out of your own way, and growing your creative business. All right, next up, my brother, Huang. What's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, you sound good.
Okay, I switched to, I actually used my gaming mic for this call, so you're welcome, Scotty.
Ooh, thank you for the high quality. And you've been leaving me out to dry the last...
Yeah, it's just been my AirPods for the past 9 weeks. But hey, I'm Huang Chung. I am an artist and a visual designer. I am currently working as a full-time freelancer, and I've been freelancing for 6-7 years now. Working with a mix of big tech brands such as Google and IBM and local smaller businesses. So I'm kind of like a multidisciplinary designer. But outside of the day job, I create designs and illustrations that mostly draw from my personal experiences as a gay Asian American millennial, often inspired by like Asian American pop culture with elements of melancholy and nostalgia. I grew up in Oklahoma, so I struggled a lot with figuring out my identity. So a lot of what inspires and motivates me is using my skills as a designer and an artist to kind of make sense of like who I am and where I fit into this world. But yeah.
And that's a lot, especially from Q1 to where you are now. It's wild, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, but it's cool how you're really shaping that identity and stepping into the person you are and who you want to be, especially with this project that you're currently working on. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And I'll share the screen so people can see what you're cooking with right now.
Yeah. So my current series is titled Gaysian Supermarket. It's kind of like the culmination of this idea that I've had in me for so long, and I'm finally trying to get back into like getting it out. And it's an outlet to tell my story in a vulnerable yet entertaining way, and allowing me to like experiment with my style and like really push myself outside of like the boring shit that I do for the day job. And I feel like Asian American voices are just now starting to like be more relevant in mainstream culture. But I feel like specifically gay Asian Americans aren't represented enough. And I grew up not really having like someone like a role model to look up to. So I would like, the goal of this project is to offer my voice and to fill this space and to just offer like another representation for this underrepresented space that exists right now. And hopefully by working on this and sharing my work, I will connect with others who have shared similar struggles or come from similar backgrounds and who feel isolated in this world and like struggle in their journey of self-discovery.
And we can already kill, hopefully, because after your first or second piece, you already had someone reaching out.
Yeah. Someone actually DM'd me. He was like an acquaintance that I met in college, but never really like kept in contact with, or had like a real like friendship or relationship to. And he actually reached out to me, and he was also gay and Asian, and he just let me know that he's really digging like what I'm doing, and it kind of resonates with some of the things that he struggled with. So that was a good like reassuring thing to like experience, because I feel like I've been struggling a lot with like, my confidence and like whether or not like I can really add value to this world. So yeah, it felt really, really, really like good to hear.
Which is wild, because one of our exercises within the program, 3 buckets of value, and you hit me up or whatever call it was, you're like, just not really sure the value I can provide. I know my designer identity, my freelance identity, I understand the value here, but like you say it within the project, and you're already proving it, and the value that you find into it, it's It's allowing you to step into who you're supposed to be. And then it's allowing other people to feel seen, understood. Like that's value, and that's value that I feel is hard to create in terms of impact. Most people want it to just be about the cool, sexy, shiny work. And they want the vanity metrics, but something that you're kicking out has a lot of soul and story in it. It's way more important than just a meaningless click and like,
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like I've lived my whole life suppressing myself and like my identity and who I was, being told that I was too feminine or like too like XYZ. And like, it just like kind of like caused me to like, hide and be afraid to let others in. And this project is kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like my coming out again, like in more ways than just like, hey, I'm gay. Like, it's just, it's me allowing myself to like tear down the walls that I've built up pretty much and just like kind of connect with others again.
That's value. Well, let's talk about the struggles. You got a mountain of struggles.
Yeah.
Like Q1 boot camp, everything,
Yeah.
another Q1 product that joined the 12-week spring program right after that. Here's the 3-week program. Then let's go deeper to the 12-week because you started tapping into stuff. So let's talk about you at the beginning
crazy.
of the year.
At the beginning of the year, I was at a really, really low point. Actually, I hadn't worked on anything creative in over 2 years. I haven't posted anything. Like kind of like at the start of pandemic, I was just in this like hiatus, like completely like hidden. And at the start of the year, I actually told one of my best friends that I had feelings for him and I got rejected. And like that kind of like lit the fire under my ass. And I was like at a very, very low. And I just like felt really bad about myself and like not confident in like anything. And I felt like I needed to like take control of something or like make some big changes. And I was DMing my friend on Instagram when I got like an ad from like for your Q1 bootcamp. And I was just like, I didn't even like think about it. I listened to your podcast like when I was living in LA, like over 2-3 years ago. And I was like, this is like a sign from like Big Brother of IG, like watching us. And like, this is like my time to like do something and like take control. And yeah, so I came into this program with the idea of like, I'm going to like have a body of work at the end of it, blah, blah, blah. But, sorry. I was just like feeling very like motivated and cause I like lost that motivation. I like, and I never really had like confidence in myself or an organized system. Like in the past I would work on personal projects, but like I had no organization. So like ideas would just be stop at like notes on my iPhone app, and like I just needed to learn how to like work more efficiently and like
and give yourself like a permission slip to create
I think
work
so.
that is actually like your artistic identity, because you're heavy designer based too.
Yeah, I am. I started late. Like I didn't do like take art in high school or anything. My parents thought I was going to be a doctor. Like I literally changed my major to visual communications like a week into university. So like I always felt like I was never good enough, never like as good as like people who have done art all their lives. So like there's definitely that element of imposter syndrome that like causes the inner bitch in me to like continually like limit myself.
Right. And it's not like you have all these struggles fixed. Like all the struggles people are sharing here, they still deal with them. They're just way more equipped with the tools to handle that shit now. And so coming in, lack of clarity, confidence, imposter syndrome, hiding, but let's flex on some big wins because slow progress is progress. And I feel like you've made massive progress, especially again, under the hood. We talked about it earlier today on a quick call, internal traction versus external traction. Most people think only external traction counts, when really, how do you get external traction if you don't have internal wins? So let's flex. What are like some of the 1 to 3 biggest takeaways or highlights that, Huang at the beginning of this year needed to hear?
Yeah. So like I said, I came into this program like wanting to like have like a completed series, but I realize now that a lot of like my wins were under the hood, like you said, like a lot of like mental battles and like mindset work. So like I would beat myself up a lot because I was moving slower or like didn't have like concrete measurable progress. Like, but I think like it was beyond that. And I think you helped me realize that like I needed to like fix sort of like the mental and like get more objective with things. And I always like thought like art and creativity was like the solution to deal with like my depression or like my mental problems. And I used art as a way to like cope with it. But I guess I didn't realize that I like the mental issues kind of prohibited me from even starting the art to help with it was like this like cycle of like, I don't know, like everything's connected. And so like I have to figure out like I have to retrain my brain and how it was like raised, and before I could even like get to the point where I'm creating again. And like I'm working through this now, even like I've been seeing a therapist for the past months and it's been great. And I feel like I've used to get so frustrated at the end of those sessions because she would be saying the same things over and over again. And every session I'm like, I'm wasting money. Like I know this about me, but really it's being patient and like taking things slow, and like change isn't going to like happen instantly. And I need to like realize that and understand that like it's okay to move slow.
Definitely, and the comparing and everything, everybody deals with that too.
Yeah.
And some of your check-ins are like, is it okay to move this slow? Is it okay to move this slow? I'm like, if you look back to where you were at the beginning of the year, would you call this slow progress?
No, because I literally haven't worked on anything in over 2 years, and I've already like finished 2 pieces. So it's already like great progress.
When we live in the day to day, shit feels like a fucking sluggish slug, just not slaying anything, looking back, what do I have to show for myself today? But again, it's like when in doubt, zoom out. When you have a hard week, it's just a blip in the radar. When I talk about slowing down so you can grow fast, you slow down this program, but yet if you look back to the beginning of the year, you've grown really fast.
Yeah.
It's just too easy to get lost in the mix in the day to day. When life hits you, the day job hits you. It's so cliche, the marathon mindset, but damn, that shit's so true.
No, like there's truth in like, cliches and stereotypes and all of that. But yeah. And like another thing that I've learned that I would have told my past self is, and it's something that you actually said to me in the Q1 boot camp on my first hot seat call, which I fucking hated. I was trembling, and I still tremble because I struggle with like talking about myself. But you said that by not sharing my work and by hiding, I was robbing the world of my story and my talent. And I never really like considered that because, I've always had a lack of confidence. And I grew up in an environment that like I was like constantly hiding myself. And I think like going through this program, it's allowed me to like be more confident and be okay with showing vulnerability, because I think at the end of the day, like I just want to connect with others, like, and show like be accepted for who I am, and to not be afraid of being rejected for being me.
Powerful. It's praise time. So again, what I have written down here, I do remember the first time I reached out to you on Discord, be like, hey, you want to be a part of the hot seat, for this 3-week boot camp? You let me know how uncomfortable it made you. Yeah, you threw yourself into the fire. And that's where I
Yeah.
immediately saw the first steps of progress. I'm like, okay, you have what it takes. You
Yeah.
just showed yourself it's
I
possible.
remember I got that message from you. I was in the drive-through line for coffee and I was like, I needed to just chug it before I answered because I was like, I had a feeling this was coming and like my heart just like dropped and I was just like, damn, okay, game time. Let's go.
And there's a takeaway there. When you want to say no to something, really your fear, your excitement is disguised in fear. Your lizard brain can only measure what you could lose by taking a risk because your brain, it's your brain is wired to keep you safe, but your gut, your heart, your soul, your intuition, that's the excitement, but your brain is fear. The logic is fear. So when you
Yeah.
feel like you want to say no to something, but it's also like scary and exciting,
Yeah.
that
And that's how
fear
you,
is
that's
really
how you
exciting.
grow, you know?
Exactly. So back to the praise time, you're one of the most talented people I've ever met. I've told you this so many times, but what good is talent with when the mind and the lack of systems are working against you? What's it matter? So fast forward today, you've managed to show up each week, building your mental fortress and structure and systems around you, despite travel, events, that have distracted you, but worthwhile distractions, I would say. Chains up at your day job, your routines, and just life in general. You've had a lot going on. You started not only sharing your work again and posting, you started sharing work in progress
Oh yeah.
posts,
That was
which is really,
hard.
really hard. It's not the sexy final piece,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody drools over your work in progress stuff. Like, what? That's a work in progress sketch? Shit. But your
Yeah,
story and your
that was
message,
crazy.
which
Sorry, I
going
didn't
into
mean
the
to interrupt
program.
you.
No, you're good. So not only started sharing your art again, but your story and your message, which going into the program, you were too paralyzed to do. And I know you said that you thought you would be farther in your 30s because you just recently turned 30. But to me, I shift the perspective. I see it as this year, 2023, and you turning 30 is just a massive timestamp in the evolved identity, the reinvention of Huang, the hungry hitter who makes his creative dream a non-negotiable, no matter how many hurdles you have to navigate, even if you have to slow down, listen to your body, you have to take a break. Tonight, I'm supposed to have this dude, but I'm gonna play some video games to get my mind right. Because when you fully start to see what I see and everybody else sees, shit, it's game over, and this is all a game. You're a gamer. This shit's just a game. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be challenging. Every new level is a new devil, and you're just unlocking and advancing stages along the way. So continue to stay hungry, stay patient, have fun with it, have support in your corner, and you also are going to make a massive impact, which will make the tougher seasons that you've navigated before. It's just going to make it all worth it. So thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you, Scotty.
Much love, brother. All right. Let's move forward to Crispy.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, brother? The floor is yours, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Caleb Crisp, and I'm a muralist and graphic designer from Abilene, Texas. So I specialize in creating large-scale typographic murals that focus primarily on positive words and phrases that use perspective, depth, and vibrant colors. So I work closely with local business and building owners to create uplifting and engaging murals that enhance the existing branding or achieve a desired aesthetic that they want to have in their space. So I want to try to transform my city into like average spaces into like destinations. Like I want people to want to go to different places in downtown Abilene and in my city because of things that I've put there for people to enjoy. So yeah, that's what I do.
Love it, man. So why murals then?
Yeah, so I decided so I did some boot camps with Scotty starting in Q2 of May 2022. And I wanted to get started on something. And I knew that I wasn't as great at typography as I wanted to be. And so I was like, okay, I need to find something that's going to help me learn typography because that's something that I don't feel like I'm as good at. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. It also helps to improve my city, and so I feel like murals is a very large scale way to like just get people involved in art. And that's something that I knew I wanted to do because that's something that had been influential for me growing up. And I also love painting and love physical work. So it just seemed like a culmination of a lot of things that I enjoyed. And so I decided to just go ahead and full send it and do some murals.
Absolutely. So what else, you got cooking right now with projects? You've had a lot going on this season, man. You came in just like, I'm going all out. And
Oh my
and maybe you've paid the price for it as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But at the same time, like you came in hungry.
hmm Yeah. So I'll say like I wanted to get started on something so bad. Like whenever I first started the program, I was just like, I have to do something. Like part of my story actually involves finding Scotty before I took that 2022 boot camp in Q2. I would like I was living in a bit of a unhealthy living situation. I would sit at home for like hours and just not do anything, and I was like depressed and anxious all the time, and so like had to figure out some stuff to work through. And I finally decided, I was like I found Scotty's podcast and realized I was like, oh my gosh, like there's other people in the world who actually like pushing themselves to do this stuff. Like I had these ideas in my mind of what I wanted to do, but I didn't actually like start. So I just figured, I was like, I have to start something. And so slowly worked my way up to like did the first boot camp, and I needed to find a day job. So I found a day job, and then that kind of allowed me to pursue some of the stuff on the side that I wanted to.
Because you were fresh out of college and you're like, I'm going to boot camp. Like,
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I decided, I was like, okay, I need to figure out what's my main hustle first. And then once I found my day job that I currently work at, I was like, okay, I need to find like something that's going to help me push myself creatively and set myself up to do things that I want to do long term. So I went from like literally stuck at home, not sure what I was going to do, and like not sure how to get myself unstuck, to like progressively moving towards, finding that day job, and then also like pushing myself to do things that I knew I could do. I just didn't know how to start. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So what other kind of like big struggles did you come into this specific program with? Because you started last year with a boot camp. Now there's like this year you're speaking and helping and coaching in a boot camp. So it's pretty crazy, but we'll talk about like the wins and the flexes here in a little bit. But let's tackle some of these big struggles that you've walked into the boot camp and some that you're still navigating.
Yeah. So I already talked a little bit about getting started. I'll just go ahead and expound on that first. So like I had done a lot of work on the mindset portion of things from the past 3 boot camps that I did. So I did Q2, Q4, and Q1. And so I had like thought through a lot of the things that we talk about in the boot camp right now, the 12-week program, but it was like I had only thought about it, and like I'm like, oh yeah, like I want, like I'm like I know, I can see kind of the way that I want to do this, and like, but I literally just didn't start. I was just like, I was stuck. I literally was paralyzed, couldn't figure out how to move. And so I like came into this program like, oh my God, I've got to start. And so that was kind of the motivation, like honestly, but like, I mean, getting into this 12-week program was one of those things that was like it's like I have to do it now. Like it was the last straw. Like it's like, okay, like I'm going all in on this. I got to do it. And so yeah, and then like I was like, I thought a lot about what I wanted to do. Just had to get started, and then like deadlines for me were like the only thing that would actually help me get going on things. So part of it was like I knew I needed the accountability, but also it was giving myself permission to start some of the habits that I knew I needed to make to stay consistent with my stuff. Yeah. And then quickly realized like I knew this about myself, but like didn't realize just how bad it was, is like perfectionism and expectations. So I have like really, really unrealistic expectations for myself of like what I should be able to achieve in a given amount of time, or like I'm all or nothing. It's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going 110%. And if I'm not doing it, I'm not going to pretend like I'm doing it. And so it's like in my head, I'm thinking of this perfect version of what I want to happen. And then I'm living in the reality of like, okay, I'm not doing that. And so it's like, I was just stuck. I was like, I don't even know how to get started, because I'm living in this ideal, like perfect world of like, oh, I'm making murals and doing all this stuff. And then on the other hand, like in reality, I'm just like, oh, I'm never going to do that. And so
here's the big grandiose idea, but what's like the first step in the next smaller steps? How do I break this big idea into something possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically I just I have these like, it's like, oh, okay, like I'm going to do it. I'm going 110%. And so now I'm starting and I'm going to do everything. I'm going to bite everything off. I'm going to go and just go. And then like finally realize like, oh crap, like I'm like I have limited energy. Like I'm also like neglecting my physical and mental health. I'm not taking care of myself. And so that was kind of like the first portion of the boot camp and still is kind of happening right now, but we'll touch on that in a second. And then priorities. I feel like I kind of knew what my priorities were. Like I didn't like, I mean, I'm fresh out of college. I have a day job. I'm single. And so like my priorities are relatively limited anyways. So it's like, I kind of knew what I should be working on, but honestly, I didn't know I couldn't have told you like what I can tell you now of like, oh yeah, like health needs to be my number one priority. And then family comes under that. And then after that, it's my side hustle and all this other stuff. And so like, there are things that I've learned to start prioritizing now that I didn't even like, I was so focused on just trying to figure out how do I start something than realizing that it's like, oh, I can't start something unless I'm healthy. Like unless I'm like going to counseling, doing the stuff that like I know I need to do. And so like once I started doing those things, it was actually like really helpful to keep going and do the stuff that I know that I'm capable of doing. So
right. Instead of making everything a same level priority and getting nothing done or getting so much done, but you're digging yourself an early grave. It's truly pecking order of what's most important in life bucket, what's most important in a day job bucket, and what's most important in a dream job bucket, because there's clear separation, but let's flex on some highlights. What are some big wins or takeaways that you've had?
Yeah. So the managing expectations and perfectionism part, that's been the biggest struggle throughout the entire
Under
program.
promise, over deliver yourself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I've just like, I've realized I need to start defining what success looks like before I start something. Cause if I don't, that perfect image of what it should be, it's not going to live up to that. And for me, like I really value personal growth. I really value when I learned a lesson, it's like I don't even look back to previous me. It's just like it's only me and forward. It's like what I know now and it's beyond this. So like I wasn't taking a time to like look back and see anything, because it's where I'm at now and forward and where I should be. And so I had to realize like, okay, I'm trying a lot of things for the first time. Because I've literally been only designing for probably like 3 or 4 years now. I really didn't do anything in high school. Like I was artistic, but like didn't do much outside of college. And so I'm like, okay, I'm doing things for the first time and I have these unrealistic expectations of what I like should be doing. So I had to define like, this is what success looks like for me. If I plan the attack every single day for this week, then that's successful. And again, it's hard, but it's like, those are successes. And I have to keep reminding myself of that, because I want to keep seeing physical work. I want to keep like the third week of the program, I got really pissed off because I was just like, I'm spinning my wheels really hard trying to like pump all this stuff out on Instagram, and I'm not actually doing anything. Like I don't have any physical work to show. And so I realized that, and I voiced that frustration, and that next week went and painted did the chalk wall mural, because I was just like, I have to do something physical. I need something to show for it. So that's when I kind of like switched a bit of a gear to realize like, oh, like, I gotta get out of my head and start like actually just like getting something in front of me. So that. Because like if I'm comparing what is not actually in front of me to my expectations, I'm not going to be able to it's an unfair comparison. So, and then getting started, I got started. It's just like, it sounds stupid, but I knew what the alternative was. like, because I wasn't doing anything for so long. And so now it's like, okay, I know what the alternative is. I'm getting started. And so like, I'm started. And that's been one of the biggest takeaways from this program is just like it, like you can just say like, I'm going to get started and get started. And like, it took a long time for me to get there. And so just the fact that I did it, it's like, I have to celebrate that. So like, there's no good time to start is what I'm trying to say. And some of the priority stuff. So like understanding my priorities has helped me like prioritize some things like in my life bucket, not just in my side hustle. So like I go to lunch almost like either every week or every other week with my granddad. And that's something that like I've always known that I'm like, oh, like I need to do that and I need to prioritize that. And I never did. And I couldn't tell you why, but it's just like, it's just one of those things that you really don't think about.
You're too busy.
And no, exactly. And it's just like, oh, like I have life going on. I have stuff going on. And like, I live in the same town as them. So I see them, but I don't like, it was never one of those things that like, I seek that out. And so I finally started doing that. And that was huge. And just like realizing like, if I want something to happen, I can make it happen. I just have to know what it is and start. And then like, you know, getting more specific and simplifying things comes a little bit after that, but starting is good. And so there's one more thing. So like the physical and mental health stuff, like I've been pushing myself so hard the last, like, you know, like the first 6 or 7 weeks, I was going ham. I was just like, I'm 110%, go. And so I hit that point of realizing like, okay, I'm slowing down. I'm feeling slightly burnt out from the stuff that I'm doing. And like, I'm literally like, everything that I've heard from the other people in the boot camp and in previous boot camps is like, I'm feeling burnt out from all this stuff that I'm doing. And I'm like, I don't want that to happen with my side hustle. So I'm starting to simplify things. I'm like, I got to prioritize my gym time, and I got to prioritize my sleep. And so like, I got started, went 110 miles per hour. And now I understand some more of my limits. And I'm like, okay, like if I'm going to go this hard, I need to take weekends and like back to myself. And that's like, there's nothing wrong with that. And so I had to learn that. And that kind of, took a long time, but I got there. So
it's a long game, y'all. We got to pace ourselves. And I have to remind myself that daily. I had a little conversation with you and Thomas on the call. I'm like, dude, I'm worn out. I can't draw right now. I'm just going to give myself permission for a week to play video games, because that's like a big distraction for me. I know I can't be playing games all the time because I will never get anything done. But this week I'm gaming just so I could pace myself and not burn myself out. So praise time before we pivot to Jonathan and end it with Britt. I've said it before, but I'm saying it again so the world knows it now. You're a young gun, 23, 24, but the drive, the talent, self-awareness, and the emotional IQ at your age is insanely rare, as I was just a fucking mess when I was at your age. So past me is hella jealous of current you. You've come so far since your first boot camp, and you even yourself realize this as you were a mini coach today for that Q2 boot camp that you started in last year. Like, comes full circle, right? Pretty crazy. The progress I've noticed the most is your ability to focus and execute when you have a target, and learn how to break that grandiose idea into smaller, manageable chunks and prioritize your time and still make sure you're living life and taking care of yourself. Despite the world that we live in that'll make you feel like you need to have your dream figured out at this age, because that shit's fake news. You don't. You have plenty of time, and staying in your own lane, knowing the season that you're in, simplifying, trusting your gut, and most importantly, having some fun with what you're doing. It's going to power you through always. This is what I wish someone would have told me. So a thriving mural biz may or may not be the dream. We don't know yet. It's too early to tell. But right now you're in a season of moving and doing. That's all this is. Moving and grooving and moving. That's it. Because it's about the trajectory. Everything you've been building from a mindset and a systems perspective, that shit's going to catapult you into the next amazing thing, whether it's murals or not. Whatever it is that you figure out, like, okay, exploratory mode, I can uproot everything I learned here and apply it to the next thing, or scale and go expand on the murals, because that is the thing. You don't have to know that right now. So I'm really, really grateful that you've been a part of it. And the last thing I want to say is shout out to you as well for showing us how to leverage AI to evolve and enhance what we're already doing. Like every week you're showing us a new trick on how to like leverage AI instead of having it replace and making us lazy. You're showing how to put that shit to work to scale and amplify what you're doing. It's fucking incredible. And I'm just really, really grateful to have you a part of this. And I'm stoked to see your coaching, design, and your mural business really take off.
Appreciate you, Scotty.
All right, let's keep it rolling. We got Jonathan, aka Fart Singer, aka Mr. J Palmisano.
What's up, Spring Savages?
Fart Singer. I meant Fart Signer. My bad. Just
I don't know.
right there.
I've been known to sing a little.
All right, the floor is yours, man. Let us know a little bit about yourself, as well as like define what Fart Signer is real quick so people know.
Well, the running joke, which is from my past, is fart signer is a word that is meant for fathers / artists / designers. You put all those together, you got a fart signer. And it's a fart joke. So, like that kind of fits the dad theme. Anyway, so my name is Jonathan Palmisano. I am a dad. I'm also an artist and designer, designer by trade, artist in my heart. I'm in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. I've currently been working on, during this season, learning to, or get back to the roots of creating physical artwork. And then I'm minting and listing that work within the Web3 Solana NFT space and trying to like get some traction there and just learn about the community. But one of the things that I wanted to really do is connect with people by sending them physical artwork. So each of my pieces comes with a physical that's mailed to the collector. As far as like the kind of artwork I'm into making, I've always been an illustrator at heart, but that's really gone into mixed media, energetic like color and line use. I'm really into that. Surreal imagery, taking like eyeballs and hands and making just kind of like creepy, curious creatures. It's all kind of falls in my zone. And I guess in doing all of that, my goal has really been, especially during this program, trying to focus on creating art that excites my own imagination, really focusing on doing the work for myself, but at the same time, pushing myself to do something that is thought-provoking for others so that I can have those creative conversations that I always love to have with people and talk about process and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of who I am.
And I've been in the art scene for a long time now, and I've been in Web3, Solana, the NFT scene for about a year and a half, crypto since 2017. I've seen a lot of art, but what you're doing is very unique. Can we talk a little bit about your current project, and I'll pull it up on screen as well.
Yeah, of course. So my current project kind of is built off of something I stumbled on a few years back, which is that I found out I love drawing on book pages. But what I didn't know that was called until I talked with Scotty is that it's resurrected pages. And this comes from this concept of me having bought, I don't know, dozens of discard or trashed books over the years with no intention to read them, really just bought for aesthetic purposes. And then I realized at some point that I could give these pieces of paper and these creative works a second life as fine art by collaborating with them. So I put my artwork on top of somebody else's artwork and save it and give it a second life. And my current series is called The Great Siege, which is actually named after the book that I'm using the pages from. It's a 6-part series. I just wrapped up the second piece. And this piece, I'm intentionally pushing myself to be, I'm pushing myself to be intentional, as Scotty always says, intentional personal projects. So I'm trying to explore more about who I am as a person and how we as people think and why we think the way we think, all through, the process of doing this other thing that's interesting to me, which is mixed media artwork. And it's been a challenge, been a hell of a challenge, but it's been super rewarding as well.
Absolutely, man. You came in to this with a lot of struggles. You and me, we go back to Crop Conference. Shout out to Stay Great, Pony Boy, Love Crop. That's where we first originally built our relationship. And then we got to know each other in the Q1 boot camp. You know, you're another product of the Q1 3-week boot camp this January, and then went deeper down the rabbit hole with me. And you know, you've overcome a lot. You have a powerful story. But let's talk about some of the struggles that you came into, you know, the boot camp this year with, and then this program with.
For sure. As far as the struggles I was dealing with when I first came in, I mean, I've felt for years like I've wanted to do something with my creative talents, that I've been squandering them. And instead of allowing myself to just do things that would be fulfilling for me and treat myself like a professional instead of a hobbyist, what I was doing was filling all my time with other people's projects, because I think I also just have an element of a servant's heart in me, which a lot of us do. Or it's really easy for us to be want to, you know, latch on and support other, you know, our friends and family and the things that they want to do. And I just found myself having the hardest time saying no to things. And then once I say yes, you know, I'm going to commit to it. So I would fill up all my time. And then anytime I did have that I wanted to use for a specific project, even if I had an idea, I would jump ahead. I would start thinking about, how can I make this the next big thing? Or how can I monetize it? Or how can I need to get a URL, you know, I was one of the dudes with like 25 URLs that I've never done anything with, you know, and I'm just
still have 25 URLs that I haven't done anything with.
I think it's actually like a prerequisite now. If you're a designer at any point in your life, you have to own at least 15. But yeah, man, I was just like, I was feeling really aimless, I guess. Didn't know how to take myself seriously and put my priorities in line and set schedules for myself. You know, that was the biggest thing I kept harping on the entire boot camp I did. And then even the beginning of this, I just was like, I just felt like I couldn't put myself to task. Like I was waiting for a boss or somebody to tell me what to do. And then you're like, Jonathan, you're the boss though. Like you're the one who has to decide. But that was the biggest stuff. I mean, I couldn't get it going, and I could not commit myself to dedicating the time to what I said I wanted to do. So it was a lot of talk with no action.
And then let's pivot to the action backing up the talk now. What are some of these big takeaways that you've had?
Well, some of the first two like biggest takeaways that I got were, you always preach about focusing on progress over perfection. I've seen you post about that. You say it all the time. You've gotten all of us into saying it. And I guess I always believed that in some sense, but feeling like I didn't have a direction to focus on, I felt like I just was thinking of grandiose ideas, and I wasn't allowing myself to do that. But then when you set us the task on like forcing us to think about what are your priorities, and not just in our side hustle or artistic pursuits, but what are our priorities within our family life or our, time with friends and family, and with friends, or our work life and whatever, and how you have to set all of those in line, and they can change. You reassess them, every 6 months or every year or however you want to do it. But you have to give yourself guardrails and then work within those for a season, commit to doing it for a season, and then you can reassess where you are. I was so worried about trying to figure out what to do. I hadn't decided like what I was working towards yet. So I couldn't even write down the steps I wanted to try to take. So I was just grinding my gears, trying to figure that out. And I didn't have a plan. So when you slowed us down and made us think about that, as frustrating as it was, honestly, it helps because it kind of puts you, like I said in a tweet recently, about like getting laser focused and just making the decision that I don't have to do everything right now. Right now, for this next 12 weeks, for this next 3 months, for this next whatever. I'm literally just doing this. And then after that, I'll decide what I'm going to do.
Love it, man. Like, keep rolling. You got some other takeaways in there.
Oh, yeah. A huge one to me too was celebrating wins, because I had spent so much time thinking about all the stuff I should be doing or that I didn't do when I said I was going to do it, that I wasn't taking time to appreciate the stuff I was accomplishing or the opportunities I was like taking advantage of. And so going through this boot camp and being forced every week to not just look at what didn't go well and how could you fix it, but also having to say, what did I accomplish, helped shift my mindset to realizing the value that I am like putting out into the world, but also that I am making progress. And even though I may have the same challenge that quite a few people in here do, and we're all working towards the goal of creating reasonable expectations for ourselves so we keep making progress. Just because you set an expectation, if you get halfway there, you still made progress, and how can I focus on the positives from the experience that I'm getting, because I am getting towards my goal. I mean, I made more progress now doing the things I said I wanted to do, which was, at first I was just like, I just literally want to make more art. And so now I'm doing that, and I wasn't doing it for years before that. So, and within that, a challenge I wasn't expecting was having to find my own voice within my work, because I definitely hid for a long time behind just making things I thought were cool or let the art speak for itself. But being being encouraged to explain my ideas or to write about them and having conversations with people about what my work means to me and how I got to that conclusion has made me more confident about the work I'm making and why I'm making it, as opposed to just, here it is, I hope you like it.
Powerful. Like, I continually refer back, you and I have talked about this. It's kind of like I said it a million times to Caleb about Young Gun. I'm impressed. I keep going back to our original call right after Q1 where you're like, I'm interested in the program. And you're like, my biggest goals by the end of this program is to feel more connected with my art, create work that I'm proud of, and be able to communicate what you're doing and why. And I'm like, instead of the home run, did you check those boxes? The fact, like, our target was have at least something out there into the world that you could go to crop conference and talk about. Massive check off boxes. That's saving the emotion for your art and staying objective with the business. We've been objective. We've been measurable. We've taken time off. We've switched schedules around to work around your life and your travel and events and family. And it's so cool to see like you stepping in to this role of, I'm a goddamn artist who can then leverage my design skills to build a brand identity for myself, leverage all the things I've done for everyone else all these years, but design for myself, combine it with my art, go to market, talk about it, write threads, provide encouragement, be able to like get out of my comfort zone and jump into DMs and reach out and engage with people to spark conversations. You're putting on a clinic right now. You send me the screenshots. I'm like, whew, God damn, because you were hesitant. You didn't like social media coming into this, but I'm like, social media wasn't a tool for you to build something that was important. It was a means of whatever it was to just get out work and it would just exist. There wasn't the intentional, the purposeful play behind it to guide the way. And you're putting on a clinic right now. And it's truly like all the things that you struggle with this or that, you're still struggling. You still have heavy life shit going on. You have a powerful, powerful story. And it's really cool to see everything that you struggle with, the adversity, the highs, the lows, the wins, the in-betweens, the seasons, all being channeled into your work right now. And truly, I feel like you're creating the best work of your life. And I can't wait to hang that motherfucker right back up there where it gets prime screen time every day. So you can see it as a reminder, like, yeah, my work makes a difference. It can be digital, but also the physical. And it's your world. You're just creating it right now. So I'm really, really grateful we connected all those years back at Crop, and like a chance that we can become brothers, within this program as well. I just want to say I'm really, really proud of your progress because you haven't pursued perfection.
Yeah, thank you, man. And I really appreciate you. These last couple months. I mean, I'm looking forward to finishing this strong and this just continuing to be connected with this awesome group of like creative badasses right here and just building on this going forward. I'm excited to follow through like I want to, that's what I was missing is the intentional follow through of something that gave me the creative juice to then figure out how I'm going to build on it later. And I really feel like I'm primed for that now. I still have to finish this series. I say have to, I get to do this cool series. And then I'm already pumped about like what ideas am I going to get for the next thing,
Yeah. You're on it, man. I have complete faith on the trajectory you're on as well. So thank you for being a part of this. And before we close and wrap things up, we're going to have a little extra toppings on an already dank pizza. Let's get some extra pepperonis on this bitch. And let's get Britt Hoffman on here for just a couple minutes so we can show her some love, some much needed love. This is my right-hand woman outside of my wife. Like Britt has provided a lot of sanity for me. So Britt, if you're around, tell the people a little bit about yourself, your work, and let's just talk about like why, briefly, because you were in this program this time last year and now you're a mini coach and you're my VA. So let's get you some screen time real quick and let the people know who you are.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So my name is Britt Hoffman. Most of you guys know me, but for those that don't, I'm an illustrator. I'm also a storyteller and writer. And I combine all that into themes of love and use that to illustrate and create illustrations, basically, just to kind of remind yourself to keep that inner child alive, but also just to spread messages of love to everyone. So anything I do, it is creating through love. And I do, whether you can see the impact of love in the piece or not, I do go through and reach out and connect with the people that connect with my art and try and give that love towards them through interactions we have together, or even just any work they do. I just try and just kind of give a little bit of love on that.
And you were with me this time last year, listened to the podcast forever, joined the boot camp early last year, jumped into the 12-week program. You've had a lot of seasons and pivots, into where you're at today, illustrating with me and Jonathan and Silva and Morgan and Web3, Solana NFTs. And it's really, really cool to see the transformation you've had and then the positive impact you've created. So can you speak about real briefly from this time to where you're at now? What have been like your biggest takeaways and why are you still on this path, like pursuing mini coaching and VA, like why are you still in the game with me?
So I think, for a fact that my biggest struggle has never been, although sometimes it can be shiny object syndrome. It's really been more the me versus me or Brit versus Brit as I talk to you about it. I've always held myself back. So a lot of what I learned through coaching with you and through even just mini coaching or the 12-week program or the spring hustlers or the winter's hustlers, because I know I've been following you for a really long time now, is to slow down, one, and you don't have to really feel like you're putting a pause on all the things you can do. So a lot of us have many things we're good at. I know when I first started with you, I was painting. And now I'm doing some digital illustrations. But just because I'm not doing painting doesn't mean that that has to go away. We can definitely pivot. And I'm pretty sure I am 100% the one that has pivoted the most throughout my career with you. And it's okay. And that's what I like to remind all the students, like, it is okay if you pivot. There's nothing wrong with it as long as you're consistent in your season. So that's another thing I've learned is to be consistent And for me, that was very hard because I want to do this and I want to do that. And look at this. This is so cool. But consistency is really what has shown me the proof is in the pudding. Like you like to tell us, consistency is what shows me what's working or what's not working or what I'm liking. And so just being able to put myself in a little box in a way, which normally I'm not, really helped me out. And I'll definitely say that's one of my biggest takeaways. And even just always, no matter what, just trying and trying, but not necessarily saying the word I'm trying, but actually doing it. So a lot of us will stay in the mindset of, I might, I will. Mindset has changed so much for me. And I owe that to you and my wife, because my wife is always like, manifest that shit.
We love
I
April.
was always,
Shout out to April here.
yeah, I was always like one of those like, oh yeah, whatever, manifest, whatever. That's bullshit. And I really was one of those. As positive as I am the most probably pessimistic person in my own stuff. And I'm very positive on everyone else. But for me, I'm very the least selfish when it comes to myself. So the biggest thing I learned, the biggest takeaway would have to be after my 12-week program, I reached out to you and I wasn't like really feeling it. And you told me that it is okay to be selfish. And I said to you, well, I don't know how to do that because so many people rely on me. And selfish to me just sounded so wrong. And I actually had this conversation in the mini mentoring support call today. And I mentioned like selfish is not bad. It's a type of selfishness that you actually pursue. And so, yes, I was struggling, pivoting from giving away some of the things I used to do to help my wife out, now that she's doing so much better with her health, and giving myself more time and being more healthy in my own way. And throughout that, I learned that being that person and taking that time for myself has given me the time to pursue things like being your VA, being a mini coach, being a coach on this call. And that alone has helped me still fill other people's cups and actually pursue what I like doing, which is servicing others, spreading love, and just mentoring other people. So it sounds crazy, but being selfish can be good.
And good selfishness versus bad selfishness, putting your own oxygen mask first after when life is taken care of and day job. You know, it's okay to be selfish with your creative pursuits. And some praise to you is, yeah, you've pivoted a lot. But every time you've learned something, you've uprooted it and you've carried to the next thing to where you finally found your fit for the season you're in. And being consistent, when you focus on not chasing the cheddar and focus on your craft, sharpening your sword and providing impact and value. When you focus on craft, impact, value, and relationships, the opportunities will find you versus you obsessing over the opportunities and chasing. Because when we chase the opportunities, when we're not prepared and ready for them, they run quicker. You've built a solid, cohesive body of work. You've collected and made a massive impact in mentoring a lot of people. You've impacted so many people's lives where people are coming to you all the time. You're like, oh my God, this person hit me up. And I'm just like, yo, you're a credibility. You're an authority now. Own it. You're really stepping into who you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to go. And it's really, really, really powerful to see. And there's nobody else I'd rather have in my corner helping me with my day-to-day, because you know more than anyone, even my wife, of just like how much shit I have going on, and you're there to support. I wouldn't be able to do this program, the boot camp. I wouldn't be able to like make time for my art if I didn't have you to help me out. So I wouldn't be able to get to where I want to be without you this year. So thank you for everything. And thanks for being a part of this session too, because you do it all out of love, and we all radically support and appreciate you. You're you're the cheerleader everybody needs and didn't know they needed.
Well, thank you, Scotty. And I really appreciate it. I'm just very thankful for this opportunity. And it's meant more than you probably would know to even, for you guys, it's meant a lot to even just hear your stories and that you would even allow me to be here to be a mini coach when it's never been a thing, to have someone else who actually help out, just even being comfortable and vulnerable, sharing your stories. It's meant a lot.
Absolutely. We love you, Britt. And as we wrap this up, you know, like someone like Silva, it's like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Like we got people making sacrifices for this season to go all out for themselves, you know, while still making family and day job a priority. This has been a crazy season of navigating distractions, a season of purposeful play, slowing down so we can grow fast, growing with each other, you know, letting down our guard, being vulnerable, admitting we don't have it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out, y'all. Even me, and I've been doing this for a while, and I'm still a fuck up and a mess, and I share it with y'all too. I share my life. I share all the hard shit going on. This is the hardest season of my life, but this is an escape, getting to like build with all of y'all. And this session was special. This call was special, and all the hard work. This is week 10. I hope you can see in this call, like what this is all about now. You can see the pieces in the puzzle, the path to get. You don't have a crystal ball, but you can look back on this for years now and be proud of what you did, how polished and professional you sounded compared to where you came into the program. Like, y'all, look what you just did. Look how many people you just made an impact on. That's the game. That's what it's about. Value, impact, create dope work that you love. That's success in my eyes. What's your definition of success? People got it fucked up and twisted about what success really is in this creative pursuits. But I think y'all have truly stepped into like what this game is about, and it's going to pay its dividends now, later, moving forward, and all the impact and the rippling impact you can create for other people. So thank you so much for being a part of this program. And I can't wait to drop this episode. This one's special. So love, peace, and piece of grease. We're out. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.